Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking into some pretty cutting-edge AI research.
Oh, yeah.
A paper with a title that might sound a little intimidating at first glance.
Yeah, a bit of a mouthful.
It's called Dedicated Feedback and Edit Models Empower Inference-Time Scaling for Open-Ended General Domain Tasks.
It's catchy.
But trust me, you don't need a PhD in computer science to understand why this is so cool, especially if you are someone who loves to learn and explore new ideas.
That's right.
All right, so let's break this down.
Yeah, let's do it.
We just threw out a pretty hefty title there. But let's start with this inference-time scaling thing.
Okay.
What exactly does that even mean?
So think of it this way. You're working on a challenging problem, right? Maybe you're writing a speech or trying to come up with a new business strategy.
Yeah.
You don't just blurt out the first thing that pops into your head, right?
No way.
You take time to think, you gather your thoughts, you refine your ideas.
Right.
Inference-time scaling is kind of like giving an AI model that same luxury,
Yeah.
you know, a little extra time to think before it answers.
Okay, so it's like giving AI a chance to brainstorm.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because we all know how important that is for like creative problem solving.
Absolutely.
But here's where things get really interesting for me.
Okay.
This paper is suggesting that the key to unlocking AI's true potential might lie in something we all do already, giving and receiving feedback.
Exactly. The researchers behind this paper are essentially trying to teach AI to learn and improve the same way humans do through feedback and revision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they claim to have found a way to do this that actually outperforms some of the top AI models out there.
That's right.
They're calling it a feedback and edit system, which sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. This isn't just about giving an AI like a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right.
This system is built on a pretty sophisticated understanding of how feedback can actually drive improvement.
So walk me through this. How does this feedback and edit system actually work?
We'll imagine a team of AI models working together, each with a very specific role.
Okay.
The first model drafts an initial response, kind of like your first attempt at writing a song or a piece of code.
Yeah.
Then a second model acts as a super smart colleague, you know, providing detailed feedback on that draft.
Yep.
It might point out areas that are unclear, suggest alternative approaches, or even offer entirely new ideas.
Gotcha.
And then a third model steps in as the editor, taking that feedback and using it to revise and improve the original response.
So it's like having a built-in brainstorming and editing team, all powered by AI.
Exactly.
But wouldn't any AI model be able to give feedback?
That is a great question.
Like, why do you need a separate model dedicated to that?
And it gets to the heart of what makes this research so innovative.
Okay.
The researchers actually compared their dedicated feedback model to a more general-purpose AI model.
Okay.
What they found was that the general model often gave vague, generic feedback, kind of like a student trying to sound smart without really understanding the material.
So it's like asking your friend who barely passed English class to proofread your doctoral thesis.
Exactly. You wouldn't trust them to give you the kind of insightful, nuanced feedback you need.
Right.
But these dedicated models, they've been trained specifically on human feedback, so they've developed a much deeper understanding of what makes a response good, bad, or just plain,
Okay. That makes sense. But how do you even train an AI model to give good feedback? I mean, feedback is such a human thing, right?
It is, and that's why the researchers took a really clever approach to training these models.
Right.
They essentially showed them a massive amount of examples of human feedback, almost like giving them a masterclass in constructive criticism.
So they learned by example, sort of like an apprentice learning from a master craftsman.
Right.
And I'm guessing that's where this massive data set of human feedback comes in, the one that they collected from thousands of people around the world.
You got it. And not just in English either.
Oh, wow.
They gathered feedback in 13 other languages as well, making the AI's feedback much more diverse and nuanced.
Wow. That's a pretty impressive effort. But the real test is whether the system actually works, right? Did they actually try this out on real-world problems?
They did, and the results are pretty impressive.
Boy.
They tested their system on a benchmark called Arena Hard, which is known for being incredibly challenging.
Okay.
We're talking complex coding tasks, research questions, stuff that would make most people reach for another cup of coffee.
So this isn't just about writing better emails or coming up with catchy slogans.
Right.
This is about tackling the kind of tough problems that our listener might be facing in their work or research.
Exactly.
And how did their system did it actually measure up?
It did, and it actually outperformed some of the leading AI models out there, including ones from OpenAI and DeepSeek.
Okay, so this isn't just some theoretical idea.
Yeah.
It's something that actually works in practice.
It does.
But here's what really blows my mind. The researchers didn't just create this amazing system. They found a way to make it even more powerful by scaling it up.
And that's where things get really exciting, especially for tasks you might be facing.
Right.
They found that the more they scaled the system, the better it performed on Arena Hard. We're talking about scores that are significantly higher than any other model out there.
Wait, hold on. How do you even scale a system like this? I mean, it already involved multiple AI models working together.
Right.
How do you make that even bigger and better?
Well, they did it in a few really clever ways.
Okay.
First, they increased the number of initial responses the model generated, kind of like having a whole team of AI writers, each taking a crack at the same prompt.
Okay.
This gives you more diverse starting points for feedback and editing.
So more AI brains, brainstorming more ideas to work with makes sense. What else did they do?
They also scaled up the amount of effective feedback per response. Remember how we talked about those general AI models giving vague feedback?
Yeah.
Well, by generating more feedback and then filtering out the unhelpful bits, they ensured that the edit model had plenty of specific actionable suggestions to work with.
It's like separating the wheat from the chaff, AI style.
Right.
Making sure that the feedback is pure gold. All right, I'm hooked. What was the last way they scaled this system?
They scaled up the number of edits generated for each set of feedback.
Okay.
This is like giving the edit model multiple chances to revise the response, exploring different approaches and refining the language until it's just right.
So it's like having an army of AI editors, each one trying to polish the text to perfection. And what was the impact of all this scaling? Did it actually make a difference?
A huge difference.
Really?
They found that as they scaled the system, the performance on Arena Hard just kept climbing.
Wow.
They achieved scores that were unheard of before demonstrating the power of this approach.
So it's not just about having a good system. It's about making that system as robust and powerful as possible. And that's where this research really shines.
Exactly. They didn't just find a new way to make AI smarter. They found a way to make it infinitely smarter.
Infinitely smarter, huh?
Constantly learning and improving.
That's a pretty bold claim. But I have to admit, the results speak for themselves. This is definitely something worth diving deeper into.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're going to do in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
We'll explore how this research could impact you directly and how it might change the way we think about AI's role in our lives. So we've established this feedback and edit system works amazingly well, but I think what's even more intriguing is how they push it even further. Remember how their system used a reward model to pick the best responses?
Yeah, they mentioned using something called Llama 3.1 Nemotron 70B reward.
Yeah.
Honestly, that name sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right. But what's cool is they realized that this reward model wasn't always picking the best choice. It's like having a taste tester who sometimes prefers burnt cookies.
Okay, I get it. So what did they do about it?
They switched to a newer, more refined model called Llama 3.3 Nemotron 70B Select. And this is where it gets really exciting. With this new model, they achieved an Arena Hard score of 92.7.
That's even higher than their previous scores, right? They're really pushing the boundaries here.
Absolutely. And to put it in perspective, they actually beat out OpenAI's model, which scored 90.4, and DeepSeek's model, which scored 92.3.
So they're at the top of the leaderboard, huh? Pretty impressive. But what does all this mean for the average person who maybe isn't trying to build the next super AI?
That's the question, isn't it? The researchers also explored whether they could take all the knowledge from this system and distill it into a new, faster model.
So like a concentrated version. They wanted to create an AI that was already preloaded with all those insights about feedback and revision.
Exactly. Kind of like giving the AI a crash course in how to write better without needing a whole team of models behind the scenes. They experimented with training new models using the data generated from the feedback and edit system, and they had some promising results.
So how did these distilled models perform? Were they as good as the original system?
While they didn't reach the same level as the full-blown system, they still showed significant improvement, especially on benchmarks like Kuchaiev and Arena Hard.
It makes sense that it wouldn't be quite as good. It's like trying to learn a new language in a weekend. You can pick up the basics, but you won't be fluent right away.
That's a great analogy. But the fact that they were able to transfer any of that knowledge into a faster, more efficient model is remarkable.
Okay, so they've got this incredibly smart system.
Yeah.
They're making it even smarter, and then they're figuring out how to distill all that knowledge into something more accessible. Where do they even go from here? What's next?
Well, one thing they're looking at is how to apply this feedback and edit approach to different tasks. Right now, their focus has been on text-based tasks, but imagine the possibilities if they could apply this to, say, music composition or graphic design.
Whoa. Yeah, that would be game-changing. Instead of just generating a piece of music, an AI could work with you, iteratively improving a piece based on your feedback.
Exactly. And think about fields like architecture or engineering. An AI could help you refine designs, optimize structures, all based on a deeper understanding of what makes a design successful.
This is starting to sound less like science fiction and more like something that could really impact our lives in a tangible way.
And that's what makes this research so exciting. It's not just about pushing the boundaries of AI, it's about exploring how AI can augment human creativity and problem solving in a meaningful way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about this amazing feedback and edit system, how they scaled it up, and even how they're trying to distill its knowledge. But I still have one big question. What does all this mean for me? How could this potentially change the way I work or learn?
That's a great question, and one I think we should spend some time unpacking. Let's imagine some concrete scenarios where this technology could come into play in your daily life.
All right, I'm ready to get practical here.
Yeah.
Let's bring this down to earth and see how this could really make a difference. So we left off talking about how this AI feedback system could have some seriously cool real-world applications. Like, let's actually dive into a few examples. What are some concrete ways this could change the game for our listeners?
Let's start with something many of us grapple with, writing. Imagine a world where your AI writing assistant goes beyond just catching typos.
Yeah.
It actually gives you insightful feedback on your arguments, your style, even the originality of your ideas.
Will that be a game changer?
Yeah.
It's like having a personal editor on call 24/7.
Exactly. No more sending drafts to friends and waiting for feedback.
Right, exactly. And this level of feedback wouldn't just be for professional writers.
No.
Think about students working on essays or anyone crafting a presentation. This technology could make the writing process so much more efficient and effective.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm sold on the writing front, but I'm curious, what about other fields? Could this feedback and edit approach work for things that aren't text-based, like coding?
Absolutely. Imagine you're a coder working on a complex project. Instead of just highlighting errors, your AI coding assistant could analyze your code, understand your goals, and provide suggestions for optimization, or even suggest entirely new approaches.
So it's like having a senior developer looking over your shoulder, offering guidance and helping you learn as you go. That would be a dream come true for any coder, especially those just starting out.
Right, and think about the potential for learning and development instead of just providing answers. An AI tutor could give you personalized feedback on your problem-solving process, helping you identify areas where you need to strengthen your understanding. It's like having a custom-tailored learning experience.
It seems like this technology could fundamentally change the way we approach education. Instead of memorizing facts and figures, we could focus on developing critical thinking skills and learning how to learn.
And it's not just about learning in a traditional classroom setting. Think about professionals who need to constantly upskill or adapt to new technologies. This AI-powered feedback loop could be an invaluable tool for lifelong learning.
Okay, so we've got writing, coding, education. Are there any other fields where this technology could have a major impact? What about something like music or art?
That's where things get really interesting and perhaps a bit philosophical. We've talked about AI being a collaborator, but in creative fields, could it become a muse, a source of inspiration? Imagine an AI composing music alongside you, responding to your melodies and suggesting harmonies you might never have considered.
That's wild. Instead of just mimicking human creativity, it's almost like AI could push us beyond our own limitations, helping us explore new creative territories.
Exactly. And this isn't just limited to music. Think about painting, sculpture, even architecture. AI could analyze your style, understand your intentions, and suggest forms, colors, or textures that complement your vision. It's a whole new way of thinking about creative partnership.
This all sounds amazing, but I have to admit, I'm also a little bit nervous. I mean, if AI can do all this, what does it mean for the future of human creativity and ingenuity? Are we going to become obsolete?
That's a valid concern, and one that we need to address head on. I think the key is to see AI not as a replacement for human creativity, but as an amplifier, a tool that can enhance our abilities and help us reach new heights. Just like the invention of the printing press didn't eliminate the need for writers, AI won't replace the human spark of creativity. It will simply give us new ways to express it.
That's a really important point. We need to embrace the possibilities of AI while also being mindful of its limitations. This isn't about humans versus machines. It's about finding ways to collaborate and create something truly extraordinary together.
Exactly. And this research is a perfect example of that. The researchers weren't just focused on building a better AI. They were focused on understanding how AI can learn from humans, how it can complement our strengths and push us to think differently.
I think that's a great note to end on this. Deep Dive has been a whirlwind of information and ideas, but the core takeaway for me is this. The future of AI isn't about replacing humans. It's about finding ways to work together, to learn from each other, and to unlock new levels of creativity and innovation.
I couldn't agree more. This research is a glimpse into a future where AI isn't just a tool, it's a partner, a collaborator, a co-creator, and that's a future I, for one, am excited to explore.
Well, folks, another deep dive successfully navigated. We've gone from a pretty intimidating research paper to a fascinating conversation about the future of AI and its potential to reshape our world. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.